Hey, Lars here, and welcome back to another episode in the Offline from Scratch series. I have just finished another 2000 Lower Kurast Runs on my sorcerer, so this is a continuation to the last video, with a total of about 4000 runs. Still searching for the runes to create my offline enigma. And believe it or not, this time it was finally enough, so no more stalling. Let's get into it. Starting off on run 2016, where we managed to get a Vex rune drop just from a corpse on the ground. So this time we're off to a good start, and it's not even from a super chest. On run 2104, we get a Barbarian Combat Skiller. And on run 2148, we get a Passive and Magic Skiller for the Amazon. 2234 gives us another skiller for the Barbarian. This time it is to Warcries, but also with 32 to life. This is followed closely by a Lem rune drop on run 2279, which also drops from a corpse on the ground. Just about 70 runs later, we get another really good high rune drop. Another So rune, and it's been a while since I've seen one of these. The last one dropped at run 389, so this is almost 2000 runs later. On run 2342, it's another lesson in that you really have to look closely every time you click the chests, because it could have been easy to miss this pull rune if I had not cleared up the potions. 21 runs later, we get another Mal rune drop, and this is gonna be the first of many. On run 2383, I find the first Shimmering Grand Charm, with 13 to all resistances and 3 to dexterity. We find another rune from a corpse on the ground on run 2417. It turns out to be another Mal rune. I feel like I'm just finding Mal runes left and right, too bad it's not that high of a rune. Because 16 runs later, I find yet another Mal rune. This time it's from a super chest. On run 2518, we finally find the first lightning skiller for the sorceress, and it rolls with 25 to life. This is such an amazing drop, and I'm really looking forward to make a lightning Nova sorceress in the future. On run 2554, we get another lesson in looking closely when you're opening the super chests, because sometimes you'll only see the rune for like a millisecond. I paused the video at the right time here, but usually you will only see the yellow flash. But if we clean up the potion, it's a very clear pull rune. On run 2619, we get yet another pull rune drop. This time it's from the slow opening poppable chest, and luckily I noticed the drop before just teleporting away. I got quite a few runes from the different corpses, but I suppose if you do enough runs and keep popping them, eventually they will drop some. As we get an rune drop from another corpse. On run 2724, we get an Ist rune drop from one of the super chests. I had to look back over my notes, but this is the first Ist rune I've found, even if we include the first video I made, which was only 1000 runs. So it took me 3724 runs to find an Ist rune from Lower Kurast super chests. 23 runs later, we get the last drop of the first 1000, and it's another Lem rune. On what was supposed to be run 2983, I started the game on normal. I was really frustrated at the time, but luckily 7 runs later I found this sick layout. If I'm really focusing, it only takes between 10 to 15 seconds to run through, depending on how many of the poppables I do. But this would have been amazing from the start. I would have saved so much time. If we look on the minimap here, you can see both the bonfires are very close to each other and the waypoint. So this is definitely gonna save me a lot of time in the runs coming up. I was trying to test out some new recording software, but it turns out I was recording the desktop instead, which means the recordings were flickering between Diablo and whichever other video or series I was watching. It sadly took a couple of hundred runs before I noticed, so I will just show a screenshot so that I avoid any copyright violations. On run 3011 we get a double charm drop, a summoning skiller for the necromancer, and this awesome 7 magic find and 8 poison resist small charm. On run 3022 we get another druid skiller. This time it's for elemental skills. On run 3062 I finally find another skiller for my sorceress. This time it is +1 to fire skills. 6 runs later we get another Malrune drop. And only 1 run later I get another skiller. This time it's another one for the necromancer summoning skills. On run 3127 we find yet another Pearl Rune. On run 3182 we find another skiller for the Amazon. This time it's bow and crossbows. And for the last drop before I noticed that my recordings were broken, on run 3255 we get another Malrune. And from here on out the rest of the clips should be fine. Continuing on run 3283 we get a poison and bone skiller for the necromancer. Run 3303 we get another Vex rune drop. Finally another high rune. I feel like it's been a while since I've seen one of these. 5 runs later on 3307 we get another Pearl Rune drop. And it seems like we're in a really lucky streak right now, because on 3343 we drop yet another Vex rune. So if need maybe we could cube these together to a low rune. The next drop is neither a rune nor a charm, but I thought it was fun, so I thought I would share this as well. Corpse drops everybody's favorite green hat. It's of course a Harlequin crest Shaco, which I never thought I would find from a corpse. Continuing on with more poppable luck, on run 3369 we get a Gull rune from Lock. I've noticed this Lock drop quite decent rune, so I keep popping it on every single run. On run 3380 we finally find a really nice skiller once again. This is one for the Amazon with the javelin and spear skills and 34 life. This is probably the best Java skiller I've found so far, so I'm very happy with this one, and it's gonna be used on the Java zone eventually. On run 3396 we get yet another Pearl Rune. This is probably the luckiest 100 runs I've had in a row. We got a Vex, a Pull, a Vex, the Shaco, a Gull, the Java skiller, and now this Pull in just under 100 runs. But the luck continues into the next 100. On run 3404 we get another skiller for the necromancer. This one is +1 to curses. And on run 3417 we get the second Ist rune from Lower Kurast. I'm not lucky with getting Ist runes apparently, but it's alright if I eventually find a bear rune, I don't care. On run 3434 we find yet another rune. And just 1 run later we find another Gull rune. On run 3457 we find another Fire Sorceress skiller. I think I'm up to 3 of these now, which is really nice. And to end off these 100 runs, on 3480 we find yet another Vex rune. Not only the luckiest 100, but actually the luckiest 200 runs in a row I've had. 3 Vex runes, 2 Gull runes, 1 rune and 2 Pearl runes. This was some crazy luck, but I suppose this is how Lower Kurast works. considering that the next big drops happen at run 3600, so almost 100 runs later with nothing notable, and it is only a skiller for the assassin, +1 to traps. Just over 400 runs left to go, but on run 363 we get yet another Gull rune. Only 9 runs later I get yet another skiller. This time it's another Poison and Bone for the Necromancer. This was the start of a lot of skillers, and the next one in the row was a Barbarian Combat one. Next up is yet another Warcry's Barbarian skiller. This time it's 30+ to life. And the last one was Amazon passive and magic skill on run 3755. 3769 gave us yet another Pul rune, followed up by yet another passive and magic skiller for the Amazon on run 3800. 3859 gives me this incredible 20 to life 14 mana small charm. This is such an amazing small charm, and I think it's the best I've found during these runs. Almost at the end with run 3914, which drops a skiller for the druid. This time it's for shapeshifting and +3 to strength. And for the last drop of these, I guess we can call it 4000 runs. Do you remember the luck I talked about before? This time on run 3928 it drops an Ohm rune, a freaking Ohm rune from a luck. So such nice high rune luck. It took me 4000 runs to get enough runes to cube for the Ya rune, while I got 1 bear rune in just 1000 runs. It's really crazy how RNG works sometimes, but here we have it. This is the final rune count, and it is crazy. It kinda looks like an online ladder stash. But in these 4000 runs we managed to get 2 Sur runes, 1 Low rune, 1 rune, 5 Vex runes, 6 Gull runes, 2 Ist runes, 10 Mal runes, 4 runes, 11 Pul runes, and 4 Lem runes. And then there's all the runes to the side as well, over to the right. And those are whatever I cubed up from IO runes to Fel runes. So I ended up with 2 extra Pul runes just from cubing lower tier runes. We also got a crazy amount of skillers that I'm trying to sort through, and there are some for all the classes and pretty much all the specs. An insane amount of small charms with 7 to magic find and a lot of resist charms and all sorts of that. I went that diligent with picking up all the flawless gems this time around, but I still think I ended up with 5 Bengalts, with at least 4 of them having full inventories of perfect gems. At some point during the runs I also started picking up jewels and rel runes because I realized I really wanted to create a faster cast rate amulet, the castercraft, since I'm planning on making an assassin and trying out the mosaic build after this when I get the enigma done. But taking a look at this rune up calculator, you can see we actually have enough to queue up to a Ya rune if we use every single rune that I found. And I am really uncertain if I want to do that or not, because if I find just a single Vex rune or a Low rune, that could save me almost all of my mid runes. I'm very interested in what you would do in this situation. Would you cube up everything and just have an enigma, or would you farm a little bit more to save all the runes? I would love to see your comment below with an answer. I will also make a video where I go through all of the loot when it's all sorted out, but it might take a while with all the characters I have to go through. So look forward to the next episode in my Offline from Scratch series, which is hopefully gonna be me creating the offline enigma. And as always, if you're still here, thank you so much for watching. Lars Out.